shores and woodlands of the north, its history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fishery. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around, my friend, and all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. And sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can, it tells you of their beauty in the state of Michigan.
Hi there, come on in. It is Christmas time 2003. We have an easygoing, entertaining show for the next half hour, starting with a home video of a fox and a pheasant, you know, the real critters. Then we have a coyote and a pheasant in a diorama mounted by Tim Hayes, a dramatic and artistic portrayal of life in the wild. And then we have one of my favorite stories, young Jim Lee, modern day trapper. Boy, I wish more kids could have that experience. I'm Zachary Trost.
And I'm Fred Trost. I'm going to be delving into the world of political incorrectness, I suppose, as we talk about running with guns. And we'll close the show with the story of a white deer, not a reindeer, but it's sort of Christmassy. Stay tuned. We'll show you some of our favorite features from the past 12 months in the Practical Sportsman Christmas Show. I've been on public television for 22 years doing an outdoor show, and if you've followed the evolution, you've seen me during good times as well as hard times. But I've always kept going. Now, the past 6 years have been particularly challenging because of a declining outdoor market, and for several years, it was just Joanne Cribley and I who were here on the payroll because after paying the bills, there was only enough money left for two of us. So it was everything we could do just to get this show on the air every week. Now, we got hopelessly behind during this time in answering mail. People would send us things for the museum. They'd send us videotapes. And for a long time, we just had to kind of stack them up and keep them there because we didn't have time to deal with them the way we should. But now, the good news is we are doing better, and we're starting to come to grips with this backlog. Now, this has been a long-winded way of explaining that the home video you're about to see is great. There's only one trouble. We haven't found the paperwork to tell you who shot this videotape. I mean, I'm embarrassed that we don't have this right now, but it's too good not to use it at this time when predators are in the news. So thanks to a videographer who I will have to identify on a future show, here's a classic story about a fox and a pheasant. It's daylight in Michigan. Not an optimum time to see a red fox. Much of their hunting is at night, but this one is a handsome fox. Black ears, black skinny legs, big fluffy orange fur with a magnificent tail that is tipped in white. Our mystery cameraman taped this apparently in the spring. The fox trotted up to the side of the road. Gave us a good frontal view where we can see a couple other distinct characteristics. Notice that long, narrow, pointy nose and the white hair on its chest and throat. If you catch a glimpse of a small orangish animal with a big tail running through the woods, these are the characteristics that identify it as a red fox. This fox is unusual though. They're not usually so bold, but in recent years, so many have moved into urban areas that they've become quite accustomed to cars and noise and people.
There he is again, right in my backyard.
Remember the Uncle Remus folktale about Brer Fox?
Mr. Briar Fox.
The briar was really the briar patch. Brer Fox said to Brer Rabbit, "Don't throw me in the briar patch." See, a rabbit can squeeze through a briar patch where a fox couldn't. That's how the rabbits get away.
This is unbelievable. I have a wild fox in my front yard. Where is he? Right there. And a wild pheasant walking up to him. That is weird.
So what's really happening here? Is that fox on a chain or in a trap?
That fox don't even care about that pheasant.
Not only does the fox seem disinterested in chasing the pheasant, but the pheasant doesn't seem at all afraid of the fox. And you know that they see each other. That is one handsome rooster pheasant, and a big one at that. Tufts of feathers standing out that look like ears. They're not really ears. Colorful orange and red feathers and the characteristic white ring around its neck. That's a wild ring-necked pheasant. And it's not even looking at the fox with any particular suspicion. Which brings up the question, is that really a wild fox, or is that one that was a pet that's maybe tied up? The pheasants are fast runners. They jump up and fly quickly. And a big rooster like this has spurs on his legs that can inflict a nasty wound on an attacker. It's very possible that this fox has tried to take on a rooster pheasant sometime in the past.
That's something you don't see every day.
That's for sure. Seeing a fox or pheasant this close is unusual.
And my fox still sitting right there.
The black-tipped ears, nose, eyes, and feet are set off by the handsome white tuxedo chest.
That is weird.
All this time that passes makes you think that this fox must have its leg caught in a trap. Or maybe the owner just keeps it in the yard on a rope? Well, the answer, is it on a rope? We find out, nope. The fox was free. It just acts like a backyard pet. But let's watch what it does to see if we can get any clues to why it might be behaving this way. Now, it's using its nose to sniff around. Could it be looking for mice or moles? Well, maybe. They live in yards and around decks. Fox like to eat mice. But then when he's on the deck, he's sniffing. I say he because I'm presuming that this video, which was taken in April, was when the females are more likely to be in the dens, probably with their newborn fox pups. Maybe this is just a male who's out and about. But he also looks like a smaller than average fox. But I could be wrong. My theory? Well, this fox has been eating garbage or dog food or something that it finds around houses. Now, that's just a theory, but it's entirely possible. Here's a sign that the fox is wild. Now watch it jump. Something scared it. Maybe it's been chased off a porch before, but at any rate, the fox didn't go after the pheasant. It appeared to be looking for an easier handout. Maybe it was a pet at one time. That's probably crossed your mind too, but there's another theory that's far more plausible. Consider where this fox was, in yards while it was being videotaped from inside a motorhome. In his book, The Mammal Guide, Ralph Palmer writes, foxes are undoubtedly a permanent reservoir of rabies. Early symptoms in the fox are loss of fear of man and machines, roaming in daylight, often in farmyards and on highways. Either it goes at a deliberate trot or wanders aimlessly, paying little attention to anything. At this stage, it sometimes attacks human beings without provocation, then flees.
Well, fox laying down there, looking at us.
Oh, blue jay too.
He was up laying on the front, sitting on the front deck this morning. I was out in the motorhome watching him. Real pretty looking fox.
Oh, it's pretty all right, but I don't think it would be a good idea for a youngster playing outside to try to go up and pet it. It seems to have lost fear of men and machines. It likes yards and highways. It trots and wanders aimlessly, pays little attention to anything. Rabies spreads when fox populations get high, which is just another reason that predators need to be managed. A wild animal with rabies can be pretty looking, but having them around can also be pretty dangerous. I think that's the answer to our puzzle.
masking off where I want my dirt to end.
What's that stuff?
Special secret mixture. If I tell you, I'll have to kill you.
So where do you get that moss that you put down there?
Hobby craft store.
The moss?
The moss store? Yeah, there you go, Joe. You've been there, haven't you?
7070 and 6644. Yes.
Is this snow you're putting on?
It's to give it a frosty, like early morning frost type of look. That's by blowing it. Like a hairdryer, just blows.
If you think we don't do enough politically incorrect material on this show, please meet Jim Lee from Grand Ledge and see what this schoolboy does in his spare time.
Hi, my name is Jim Lee. I'm filming this for you, Fred. I'm trapping on the creek that leads to Grand River, and I found a muskrat den. You can see there's a group there because there's so many muskrats going down through there. The den is right.
Trapping goes back to the beginning of the settling of America. Interestingly, America never developed as a major market for furs, and Europe and Asia are still the prime markets today. Muskrats that live in ditches and marshes are a staple of the fur business. Jim Lee is setting a muskrat trap on the underwater path that muskrats use. He pushes a metal re-rod into the mud to anchor the trap by its short chain. The life of a trapper is not much easier now than it ever was. You set traps where the fur bearers live, which is often in thick, wet, mucky places. Most trappers wear high slip-on rubber boots like milking boots that farmers wear when they work. Aside from the metal traps and re-rods, a trapper also utilizes the natural materials of the area to make his sets. The purpose of these sticks are twofold. One, they help stabilize the trap and keep it upright in a position so water currents or passing animals don't move it out of place. And secondly, the sticks help steer the muskrat into the trap. Now, how does a boy get into trapping these days? Well, check out Jim's big gloves. They're his dad's. Rarely does an outdoor skill like trapping come from anybody but a father or a close family member. It's an activity that's passed down through the generations. Now, this trap is not a leg hold trap that allows a non-target animal to be released. This is what's called a killer trap or a conibear. These strong springs instantly kill a muskrat that trips the trigger. Young Jim tussles with the jaws of the conibear, but as he gathers experience in the marsh and as he grows bigger and stronger, he'll be able to set traps quickly.
Okay, right here is the groove where the muskrats go under, and this is a natural fallen branch, and they go under here, and they go right under here. I'm gonna set my conibear.
Jim traps the ditch that goes through the family farm, making a dozen or two sets. But if the fur market improves and Jim wants to set up a side business when he's in high school, well, like many farmers did when they were boys, he'll learn to run from one trap to another because he'll have hundreds of traps to check on a daily basis. Sure, trapping is one of those politically incorrect activities that comes into controversy from time to time, but it's also one of those activities at the foundation of America's development. Like farming, Trapping utilizes animals for clothing, shoes, and other products. Some say that fur is a luxury, but many people the world over find fur to be durable, economical, and a practical way to utilize certain animals from the wild that breed prolifically. We'll let Jim Lee finish setting his traps, and next week we'll continue this trek into an American tradition.
Got a couple of critical emails regarding the preserved pheasant hunt at Orchard Hill. This one's from Chuck. At least a couple of times during this segment, Fred was running with a loaded gun. I realized that the gun was pointed up in the air in a supposed safe direction, but nevertheless, in the event of a fall, a real tragedy could happen.
And Kenneth Welby from Troy said, I'm happy my teenage sons were not viewing your pheasant hunt with me. You displayed poor hunter safety techniques in the following areas: neglectful handling and pointing of gun barrels, trotting, running with loaded firearms, allowing armed, unarmed associates to walk in front of armed hunters. I was particularly alarmed by your trotting behind and to the right of the guide in order to line yourself up for a shot at a fleeing pheasant. Now, these criticisms, I think, do require some sort of comment and response. This past weekend, I saw Mike Stewart, who runs Orchard Hill Sporting Clays, the hunting preserve as well as the shooting range. I mean, he's got to be a stickler on safety because of all that liability. He's been a weapons expert for the military a number of years. He's hunted and shot competitively all over and really experienced in guns and weapons. So I put the question to him about these criticisms of how I was portrayed on that pheasant hunt.
I saw the clip that you're talking about where one bird went up and you and Jimmy shot it or whatever. I don't know which one of you shot it. And then another one flushed and you moved back safely to the side of the other people. So your gun had a clear shot and you kind of ran over to that side, ran forward a little bit so you were clear of the other hunters and fired. I think you did everything perfectly right. Now, hasn't anybody ever run after an animal? I have run with a gun. I don't know any avid hunter that at some point has not run with a loaded, safety-on gun, in their hands.
I mean, I've done it. Elk hunting, deer hunting, a turkey is down, a goose is down, a pheasant is down. At that point, you run, or to get into position or something. I mean, you're not running as a matter of practice.
Your safety should be on until the instant of the gun coming up. And I've seen you do that, where your safety is on and you take the safety off as that gun comes to your cheek. And that's the way it should be.
Well, what they tend to say is bring their kids into it. I tell my kid, don't run with the gun. Don't run with a fork in your mouth. Don't run with sharp scissors.
Yeah, well, I think it's real different running with scissors than it is.
Or for kids to run.
Yeah,
kids don't know that, if you're not experienced and you're not really cognizant of all what's going on, then you shouldn't.
Well, first of all, I don't think that we should be putting inexperienced kids in a position where they have to do things they're not experienced with. You've hunted with my son a number of times. He's extremely safe. If you notice if you really run that whole clip, you'll find his gun up in the air or broken over his shoulder. He opens the gun and puts it over his shoulder when he's walking, and if a dog goes on point, then he puts the gun down, safety on, he'll close the gun, move in for the flush, then as the bird flushes, the gun comes up, safety comes off, and he shoots. And that's the way he's been taught. I think it's a matter of training young hunters to do things properly. Jim has had a lot of experience, and he and I have run after game, and our guns are pointed in a safe direction, and the safeties are on. Are we saying that we can't ever run when we hunt? Are you supposed to unload your gun, or we have to sling the gun or something if we're going to run? Running is part of hunting. And I have no idea why people would overreact and think that it's unsafe in any way to run with a gun with the safety on.
So what is this? Is that a rump of a little dog? No. It's Casper, the friendly fawn.
I got some first.
What is it?
I've never seen one.
Never seen a white fawn?
No. No.
That's why I brought him down here.
Huh?
A boy.
Now, is he going to get more color to him?
No, he'd be always white. He's a buck. He's not an albino. He's got blue eyes. He'll live longer than an albino. He'll have white velvet on his antlers when he gets the antlers. Next year we'll film him when he starts to grow antlers.
And how old is he right now?
He's born June 29th, so he's about almost 3 weeks. Make sure you don't give him more than half. This is a little safer than the bears, eh?
Yes. I'm not getting bit or clawed.
No. Good boy, Casper. Good boy. Check, see how much you got in there. Oh, you can give him more, yeah.
And so how long will he eat off of a bottle?
Till late August. Sometimes we bottle feed him in September.
He's messier than a child when it comes
Yeah.
to...
Well, he
Are you
usually
done?
does it when he's standing up too. So. He's all this stuff going on. He's thinking about it. You a pretty boy. You a pretty boy. There's Uncle Zach.
Hi there. Hi.
Yeah, a whole lot safer than the bears.
Yeah.
You're a pretty boy. You're a pretty boy.
How many deer do you have right now?
We've only got 5. Oh, 6 right now, I guess.
And he's the youngest?
Yep. One of my does I sold to a friend bred her with a white buck. So I got one of the first white babies from him. So this is out of
So this
one of
was
my
intentional.
Right. We was hoping. Sometimes they throw brown babies. He had a twin, but it was brown. So one was white, one was brown. Is that good?
Now, is he more sensitive to the sunlight?
They're more. I was taking these to shows, a couple years ago, and they couldn't take all the stress. They can't handle stress as good as the brown ones do. So that's why I'm not doing a lot with him. I think that's about enough, ain't it?
Yeah.
But other than that, they grow up.
Yeah, same thing. They'll live just as long as a brown one. But they're really cool when they grow their velvet because it's just pure white.
Oh, you are such a pretty boy.
You can see there's white spots in there, but they're hard to see. Ouch.
What's on?
Yeah. Hey.
He's so small.
He was a lot smaller. He's double his size already. You're a pretty boy. Come here, Casper. Come here. Come here. Don't run away. Yeah, watch him here, too. Come here. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. Get the bird. Get the bird. Come here, buddy. He's done a couple schools already. He did really good with kids.
Now, when they're small like this, do you bring them in your house?
Yeah, he stays in the house. It's easier to feed him about 5 times a day at midnight in the house. Thank you. You're a pretty boy. You're a pretty boy.
That's our Christmas show. Tune in next week, same time. We have our New Year's show with the same format.
We're going to show you another 5 of our favorite features. We have one on dog tricks. Philosophy of camping, fixing fish fins, the sportsman's role in homeland security, and some little girls fishing. Some fun features with a serious message.
Have a safe holiday and join us right back here next week.